So, this is a little series I'd like to do on the importance of tradition. And this can fall into many different molds, but the one that I want to talk about today is the tradition of hunting and how important it is to introduce young kids to the outdoors, whether it's hunting or fishing or hiking, camping, just anything, that gets them out into nature, gets them into the outdoors and away from the screens and, all the other stuff that they are bombarded with in terms of technology on a daily basis. And so I think this is more important today than it's ever been, because that's what these natural things are in competition with now. They're in competition with technology. And just the destructive nature of this technology, it already has the upper hand, because of its addictive nature and just, especially with children and the constant dopamine hits that are associated with, the technology that they're surrounded by today. And so I wanted to talk about hunting in specific because here where I'm at, it is hunting season, and it got me thinking about this, and I thought it was a worthy topic to discuss. Now, just a little story time here, from my own personal experience, and this does tie in a little bit with my last video, which was about how the statistics today for fatherless children are 1 in 4. And, I was aware of this being an issue, which is why I wanted to talk about that topic, but I wasn't aware of just how bad it is out there until I started looking at the actual statistics. And that translates into a lot of the problems we see in society today, unfortunately. So I thought it was a worthy topic to discuss. But this kind of plays into that, because, these kids, in particular boys that grow up without their father, there's probably a really good chance that they're also going to grow up missing out on a lot of these type of traditions, such as hunting and fishing and just, things that boys do, with their dad. And in my own life, because I grew up without a father, and my stepfather was not really into hunting, or he wasn't into any of the outdoorsy type stuff, there was a very good chance that I would have never been acquainted with any of that. And that's really hard to conceive because of my absolute love for it today. I mean, it is, hunting whitetail bucks is one of my favorite things to do. I mean, I absolutely love it. I mean, it is a passion of mine. And so the thought of never being introduced to that and that not being a part of my life today is just crazy to me, and this is where, based on these things, the trajectory of your life could go in different ways, so if what I'm about to talk to you about never happened, then the trajectory would have definitely led me somewhere else, and probably not in a good place, because these things with the outdoors, they help to keep you grounded, and they help to keep you away from a lot of the bad stuff that's out there today. But anyway, my story, like I had mentioned in that video, I was one of those statistics. I grew up without my real father. But what I did have was an uncle that really played many hats in my life. He was my uncle, but he was also like my best friend in a lot of ways, and he was like a brother to me in a lot of ways. And he also did a lot of the duties of a father with me as well. One of them being introducing me to hunting and fishing and just all of that. And so my uncle, his name was, what we called him was Noonie. His real name was actually Gerald, after my grandfather, but everybody called him Noonie, and so he was Uncle Noonie to me. And Uncle Noonie made it a point when I was young to take me fishing and to teach me, how to fish, and then once I reached 12 years old, he also made it a point to take me hunting. And I can tell you, I still have the memories. I still have the feelings that I felt to this day that are associated with hunting season because of the experiences and the memories I have with my Uncle Noonie. And so he took me when I was 12 years old, a new hunter, teaching me the ropes. And he would take me out with his group of people, his group of friends that he would hunt with. And he really didn't have to do that. I mean, it was, I can imagine, in many ways a burden actually to try and include me, just because it's just another thing you have to deal with, with getting things ready, and you're up and out early, and so just to have to deal with a kid and making sure he's good and he's got everything he needs, it is in many ways a burden. But he took that on himself because of his love for it and how much he loved hunting. I think that he wanted to pass that on to me, because I think he knew that then I would also end up acquiring that same love for it that he had. And that's exactly what happened. So in the beginning, when you're 12 years old, you're still trying to figure things out. You're trying to learn the firearms. You're learning about the animals. You're learning about how to hunt, how to put on drives, and a lot of the different stuff that we would do back then. We'd hunt out of a camp with a crew of guys, and so our roster was like 12 to 14 people usually, and there was some older gentlemen there that really made the whole experience just fun and memorable. Just being around those old guys and hearing their stories, and going back to camp and sitting around the table and just eating good food, and everybody's having a few beers and dipping Copenhagen and smoking Marlboros and drinking Genesee and whatever. Just, not that I'm promoting that, but I'm just saying that was a part of hunting camp. And I just absolutely loved that time. And I'm 46 now, and I look back on it and I can still remember it almost like it's yesterday. And as time went on and I got a little bit older, my uncle and I, we would also go hunt together by ourselves occasionally, and we started to see that we were actually doing better that way in terms of, killing bucks. It seemed like we would make out better if it was just he and I, and we would go out and we would do different things together, whether it would be he would set me up on a watch and do a little chase to me, or we would both, sneak on each side of a creek or whatever, and we hunted perfectly together, and we've killed a lot of bucks and had a lot of great hunting memories together. And by the time I was like a senior in high school, he and I were die hard hunters together, and man, we just look forward to that time of year so much. And I just have so many great memories, and a lot of them are tradition, and a lot's changed since then, though. My uncle had some things come up in his life personally, and he kind of pulled away from hunting, and he wasn't doing it as much, and he just kind of lost the love for it, I think, but not naturally, but because of things that he was dealing with in his personal life. His wife had Lou Gehrig's disease, and so she was, through the course of 2 years, went from being just fine to completely disabled, like completely paralyzed, and it was very hard on him. And so hunting just wasn't something that was in the forefront of his mind at the time, and rightfully so. And so a lot had changed. But at this time, I also had my own boys, my own children. I mean, I have a daughter that's a little older, and she's out of the house now, but like, she hunted, from a very young age, and she was a part of all of this with Uncle Noonie, and got to experience some of that stuff that I had mentioned. But my boys were a little younger, and so they missed out on all that, and it sucks because I know how much it meant to me, and the memories that I have from it, and how important they are to me. And I really wish that they would have had an opportunity to experience some of those things as well. But regardless, I began to build my own traditions with my own boys, in hunting season. And it's just so important, I think, to do that. Because if we don't teach them these things, and we don't carry on these traditions, and if they die with us, it ends there. And it's just, there's too much beauty in it, and there's too much like knowledge and wisdom in it, and just the aspects of self-sufficiency that come with being able to go out and take your own animal and provide your own food. There's something special about that as a father, you want to relay that knowledge and information onto your children, and so we've built our own traditions now, since a lot's changed since then, around hunting season. And I just think it's very important as a bonding time for fathers and sons as well. Like, it's a great opportunity to bond with your sons, even your daughters. I mean, it doesn't have to just be sons, but it's a perfect time to bond with your children. You're together, you're out in the wilderness, you're experiencing nature, and whether or not you end up killing a buck, that ends up just being the cherry on top anyway. I mean, there's so many experiences that happen in the woods that will live on in your memories forever, that make just being out there worth it in itself. And so just to share in that with your children, I think, is so important. And it's a pastime that I'm afraid is slowly beginning to die. And I just think it's so important for that tradition to carry on. And so I guess I don't want this to be too long, but I just wanted to kind of highlight this and talk about this, because when I'm out by myself hunting, a lot's changed in our lives, over the past 5 to 10 years or so, and things are different now. And my uncle has since passed away at a pretty young age, and now everything's different, and when I'm hunting by myself, I am always thinking about him. Always. Just because of the bond that we had that was created through hunting, and the love that we both had for it, and just all the great memories that we created, out in the woods together, and all that. So, I don't know. I think that's very important. And so, I guess this video is just, just me rambling my thoughts on that, but I do think that there's an underlying importance in it, and I encourage everybody to, whether you're a father or not, if you're a hunter and kids that aren't being exposed to, those type of traditions, I encourage you to invite them along, because like I said, if my uncle hadn't done that for me, no one else would have, and I wouldn't have the love that I have for it today. And then it also would have never been passed down to my children, which then hopefully their love for it passes down to their children, and this tradition of hunting whitetail bucks, just hunting everything, just hunting in general, will be something that stays in the Casper family for many, many generations to come. And so, yeah, take your own kids hunting. If you don't have kids and you're a hunter, take someone else's kids hunting who aren't being exposed to it. I think there's a great deal of importance in it. There's a great deal of wisdom to be gained in it. And there's memories that will be near and dear to their hearts that they'll carry with them through their entire life. And so that's pretty much all I got today. I'm traveling here a little bit, so I thought I'd make a quick video about it. And like I said, I would like to make this like a tradition series, because in thinking about that, I was thinking also about other traditions that we do and how important they are as well. And so I think we'll make this a series on tradition and the importance of tradition. And in this one today, it's focused mainly on hunting and taking part in nature and being a conservationist and a woodsman, and just having a love for the great outdoors. And so that's pretty much all my messages for today. Yeah, take a kid hunting. Take a kid hunting. That's all I got. Casper is out.